Welcome to Citizen Science, stories of science we can do together, brought to you by SciStarter. In this episode, we explore the romance of citizen science, how through citsci you can not only find birds and bugs and plants and stars, but also new friends and just maybe that special someone. Well, it's February here in my science nook and everywhere else. And February is when we have Valentine's Day. And it's also the month of the astrological sign Aquarius, which is, we know from the fifth dimension, when love will steer the stars. And I bet there's at least a couple of other reasons why February is somehow related to love and romance. But why even bother looking? We just want to do this theme. So here we go. Many years from now, when people ask you how you fell in love with your spouse, are you going to be stuck saying, well, we went to this restaurant, or we met at a nightclub, or some other lame encounter that will have everyone yawning before you even finish the sentence? Or will it be, it was Valentine's Day, and we went out on a clear, frosty evening, gathering night sky data for NASA? Or we got together to monitor and protect whale sharks, the world's largest fish. Or maybe we worked together for environmental justice in our community. Now remember, you only get one of these cute first meeting stories, hopefully, so you want to make it good. Or if you already have a significant other and you just want to do something new this year, or you just want to get together with some fun, science-curious people, we have you covered for that too. And to help out, we have with us SciStarter's own citizen science advice columnist, Caroline Nickerson.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored. Yeah, happy to be here.
Great. So could you tell us a little bit about how citizen science could sort of, help bring people together, maybe even lead to a relationship or romance?
Yeah, well, the thing about citizen science is it's great for community building, and this is true whether you're participating in your home or whether you're participating outside. I think the best thing about citizen science is it allows you to be part of something bigger than yourself. So let's say you're doing an outdoor project like iNaturalist. You can go on a nice walk with a loved one, with a new friend, and discover things about the world together, help collect data, document the world around you, and hopefully create some bonds at the same time. But if you're doing a project where you're at home, you're still part of the global community because you're impacting research, you're participating, and with many of the online events we have on SciStarter, you can actually communicate with other people via Zoom, in the chat, or however. We have different message boards we're getting up for Citizen Science Month this coming April. And even if you're just at home and you're participating in an online project like Stall Catchers, where you're classifying blood vessels for Alzheimer's researchers, you're still part of a big community and you can still communicate with people and be part of this awesome group of people who want to turn their curiosity into impact. But I actually prepared some projects that have different Valentine's Day themes, if you want me to go through those.
Yeah, that would be great.
I think that's the number one thing I hear at SciStarter. People sometimes get a little overwhelmed with all the different options. So let's say you wake up, it's the morning of Valentine's Day, you want to make an impact on science. Here are my recommendations for what you can get started with. And you can do them by yourself. You can do them with a loved one. You can, however you want to do this. This works. There's the Health Heart study. That's a pretty popular project. You're able to answer questionnaires about your heart, and you're helping researchers understand some of the specific predictors of heart disease. If you do this project with a loved one, you're sitting next to each other and you're both filling out these questions at the same time. You might learn something new about your heart, and what better time to do it than Valentine's Day?
That's great. Okay, great.
And Valentine's Day is a great time for flowers. So rather than just buying flowers for your Valentine at the store, I recommend that if you're in a place where flowers are starting to spread, I know in Florida, I'm seeing the first few flowers come back after our very mild winter. So I'm going outside. And
Even up here in Maryland, we have had no winter. We already are seeing crocuses and snowdrops and stuff, even though it's February.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, you could go out and do bud burst with your Valentine this Valentine's
I
Day.
could. All
So
right.
that's a project. It's based at the Chicago Botanical Garden, but you can do it anywhere in the United States, and you can study phenology for this project, or how plants change with the seasons, by submitting observations of plants around you, especially flowering plants.
Great.
And if you're not in the States, you could potentially do Nature's Notebook, which I think is based in the States but is relevant to some other countries too. Or, of course, iNaturalist is a project where you can document beautiful flowering plants anywhere on Earth.
That's great. And the great thing about this is, as opposed to going out to a dinner where you're like facing each other and it's kind of, I don't know, it can be intimidating and you don't know what to say. You're focused on something else, and sharing that experience. And it just seems a little bit easier to have conversations when you have something that you're doing together.
Definitely. And let's walk through this, right? So let's say the first date is Valentine's Day. You participate in Bud Purse together. You're going on a walk. You're monitoring those flowering plants. Maybe you do iNaturalist as well and help study the species distribution of these plants. Let's say you get a second date. You could do Great Backyard Bird Count. It's global, and it takes place from February 17th to the 20th.
Oh, wow. It's really close.
Yeah. So you can help. It's one of the largest citizen science projects in the world. And you just share pictures of birds, yourself, others bird watching, in your yards or your favorite birding spots in your community. You can bird in urban areas as well. And it's a great way to track different bird species. And it's one of the most cited citizen science projects as well, in terms of understanding how species are changing in response to climate change and other environmental factors. So if you get that second date, definitely do the Great Backyard Bird Count, February 17th through the 20th.
That is great. Any other particular projects that you want to highlight?
I mean, I think a big thing to highlight is you can do citizen science from anywhere, any day of the year. And I want people who might be spending Valentine's Day by themselves to know that if you do a citizen science project, you're still part of a big community. And it's just a great way to give back to the world. What better way to commemorate Valentine's Day, a holiday that celebrates love?
Great. All right. Thanks, Caroline. Great advice.
Thank you.
So Caroline mentioned nature walks and healthy heart research and flowers. Our next guest specializes in another potentially romantic citizen science activity, stargazing. Don Ficken is with the St. Louis Astronomical Society and is founder of the Missouri chapter of the International Dark Sky Association. Hey, Don, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
Now, you've been stargazing and involved in astronomy for a long time, and I'm just curious, why you find it so compelling.
Well, I think for me at least, I had so many years of working in business, I really didn't have a chance to go outside and actually enjoy the night sky. And when I go outside, it's like I'm connecting with other people in the world and through my ancestors. And who doesn't love to go out and look at the Milky Way or Orion or something fascinating, or frankly, more recently, Jupiter, Saturn. They're just amazing to look at, and particularly through a telescope, it's just terrific. By the way, you don't have to stay out that long. A lot of the telescopes that we use, for example, for the library telescope program, I can literally set this up, go outside 5 minutes, look at a Jupiter or Saturn, and come back inside, and I won't even get cold. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's just that quick, so it's amazing to me.
Okay, and then you touched on something I was just going to ask. What if people don't have a telescope? What's the library? Could you explain how that works?
Yeah, so I'm part of, I live in St. Louis, and we have a fairly robust program here to where you can check out telescopes from libraries, just like a book and even binoculars. But this is worldwide. We have a website called librarytelescope.org. It has a worldwide map. If you're in a particular state, you can pull up the US, click on your state, and we'll list what libraries that we know that are participating in the program. We have well over, I think, 900 libraries. We're actually in Canada, New Zealand, Belgium,
Wow,
Netherlands, so it's all over the
all over the
place. And
world.
typically it'll be a 1 to 3 week checkout kind of thing, and it's free. It's just part of your library
Oh,
service.
cool. And what happens if you don't have? Can you still get involved, even if you don't have either a telescope or a library near you?
Absolutely. First off, binoculars are underrated. They are very, very good. There are many things, surprisingly, that you might not think about that you can better see with binoculars than you can with a telescope. For
Huh.
example, the Pleiades, which when I was a little kid, I thought that was the Little Dipper, right? It's called the Seven Sisters. Very pretty. Looks like a little bitty dipper in the sky.
Uh-huh.
If you put a telescope on that, what you're going to find is you can see a couple of stars. But you put binoculars on there, just normal binoculars, it's gorgeous. It's just very, very pretty. And because the binoculars will gather a little more light than your eyes, you'll be able to see the stars a little bit better. So even in light polluted skies, you might be able to see it pretty well.
Okay. And now I understand you're also involved with Globe at Night.
Yes.
And that's a citizen science project. Can you tell us what that's about?
Yeah, so Globe at Night is actually a very interesting, it's very much a citizen science thing. And literally all you have to do is look up in the sky if you follow the instructions. And right now, for example, you would look at Orion. In just a few days, you look at Orion and you count the number of stars and you match that against a picture. And the more stars you see, the better the darkness is. It's less bright. If you see very few stars, it's not very good. But you can tell from that how it matches up, and you report what you see and where you saw it. And what they do is they put that into a worldwide database of other measurements, and that's when scientists actually tap in and make real good use of that.
Huh. Wow, that's great. So this is a good combination. So there's the enjoyment of the stargazing. There's seeing things you never saw before. There's groups too that do this, clubs and things, so you can
Oh, yes, right.
learn more from other people. And while you're there, you can also contribute to this light pollution research.
That's right.
Research.
And I think even better, boy, what fun it is to go out with your significant other and just explore the sky together. You're working on maps together, you're pointing the stars, you're thinking about all the big worldly things. Is there life out? I mean, you have all those wonderful conversations. You know what? You're not going to get that in front of a computer. You're not going to get that in front of your TV. What a way to go out and have a good time.
That is so great. All right, thanks so much, Don.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Now, another fun science activity you can do with friends or significant others or not yet significant strangers is just exploring nature. And iNaturalist is an amazing online community that can help. We have with us Carrie Seltzer. Carrie has a PhD in ecology and worked for National Geographic and the National Science Foundation before joining iNaturalist as their stakeholder engagement strategist. Hey, Carrie, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Bob. Thanks for the
Hi.
invitation.
Yeah. All right. So for this special edition of the podcast, we're almost like relationship counselors here. We're letting people know that citizen science is a great way to meet new people, a great way to get to know somebody, a great way to see about your shared interests and curiosity. And I think iNaturalist, your platform, is perfect for that because you can go searching for the sorts of projects that interest you and possibly someone else.
That's right. So iNaturalist is a way to share your encounters with biodiversity in the natural world. So you don't even need to search for any specific project, but I know that can be helpful to give you a sense of direction. It can be a little bit overwhelming to know that you can walk out your door or not even walk out your door and take a photo or record a sound of any wild plant or animal you see. I don't generally recommend recording sounds of plants, though. Those aren't usually very identifiable. You can stick to photos
No,
from plants.
they're shy.
They are. They don't say a whole lot with words, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're an indoor person, you can find a project that you can do at home without even setting foot outside. If you're an outdoor person, you can find ones like that. You can find, if you're a night owl, there's things at night. And I know a lot of them are sort of solitary, but a lot of these projects are group related. You go out with a group, or either small or large. So if people want to meet people that are interested in things that they are interested in, how might they go about that with iNaturalist?
Yeah, so when you post a photo of something that you see, let's say you go out for a walk and you see a weed, perhaps it's flowering, it caught your attention, you never noticed that before. You take a picture, you post it to iNaturalist, you're sharing it publicly on the internet, including your location. Keep that in mind. But then other people in the community can help you identify what it is, or if you happen to already know what it is, they can confirm the identification. So this is a
Okay.
cool way, especially if you observe something that's like kind of rare or really exciting, to find
Mhm.
other people who think it's cool and exciting. And there are some great examples of little sub-communities on iNaturalist that have developed around some things that haven't gotten as much attention as really charismatic groups like birds, for example. So
Uh-huh.
one example of a group that has a lot of enthusiasts and a growing group of enthusiasts on iNaturalist is galls. So a gall,
Galls.
galls, Galls.
Okay.
Galls are these growths that form on plants, and they're induced by some other kind of organism. So it's evidence of something other than a plant interacting with that plant. And the
Oh,
kinds of growths that they make can be very easily identified to species once you've got enough scientific expertise and description of these different species.
and so basically, some organism is tricking a plant into making a food source or a little home
Yeah,
or a little place for it to lay its eggs where it'll be
that's it.
safe. And the plant, is being used for that purpose. And, in some cases, I guess they're bad for the plants. In some cases, it's neutral, right?
I mean, there's an energetic cost to the thing that the plant has to grow, but it's not common to see a plant totally overrun by gall
Uh-huh.
formers. So
Okay.
I think the
And now so I bet, when you're talking about how you met your significant other, very few other people are gonna have the same story as you that you met over identifying galls.
that's
Probably
right.
that's gonna be a unique meet cute
That would
story.
be a sweet one.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
also want to point out that you don't even have to leave home to post observations to iNaturalist.
okay.
There is a whole project called Never Home Alone, and the
Oh,
point of that project is documenting the organisms that we, I would say, unintentionally share our homes with. It's not for
okay.
posting your pets, like that's an intentional choice, but it is for the spiders you find in your shower, or hopefully not the hopefully not some of the least savory things that you might encounter in your home, like lice or
So
bed
you go
bugs.
exploring your house for other animals living there?
Do I personally?
No, I mean that's the idea behind Never Home Alone. You go
Yeah,
you go seeing, hey, who else is living here
that's
rent
right.
free?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, so if that's a date, you better really know or be very confident before you go exploring for other living things,
Maybe
critters,
that's not a
spiders,
first
bugs,
date.
bed bugs.
Not a
What?
first. That's probably not a first date.
That's not a first date. No, that's exactly. Yeah, yeah. You got to be pretty far along to have that kind of confidence. Wow.
And
Okay. All
I
right.
hope nobody out there finds bed bugs. But if you do,
No.
there's a project for that.
Oh, there is. Okay.
I mean,
All right.
the Never Home Alone project, assuming you.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Well, then there's another project, but it probably isn't on iNaturalist, but it involves chemicals or something.
That's right.
Okay,
That kind of project.
cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, Carrie.
Thanks, Bob.
Before we wrap up, I want to check back with Caroline Nickerson to get her impressions and any final advice. Okay, so thanks for coming back with us, Caroline. We've heard from Don Ficken about stargazing and Carrie Seltzer about iNaturalist and some of the other projects, Never Home Alone. What'd you think?
That was awesome. I definitely want to go stargazing this Valentine's Day. And I know,
That is a good one.
well,
Yeah.
Globe at Night, the constellation this month is Orion, which is so easy to spot. So, you're really, you need to do it. If you like stargazing at all, this is a great time to document light pollution. So thank you, Don, for that awesome idea. And I
Yeah.
mean, Carrie, Never Home Alone, that's one of the greatest projects.
I don't know if I'd want even someone I'm in a relationship with to go digging around looking for bugs and things in my house, but in the house. But if you're comfortable doing that, I think go for it.
Yeah, and we got, our 6-legged, 8-legged friends living in our homes right alongside us. So always a good
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and there's fungi and there's all sorts of things that if you look close enough, you'll find them in any house.
Exactly.
All right, and I want to tell our listeners and viewers at home. Feel free to email us after Valentine's Day or whenever to tell us your stories, to see if you did any of this stuff, if you met anybody, and anything you want to share about your citizen science relationships.
Yeah, I know on my end, that's one of the best parts about being able to work with SciStarter, hearing about the way citizen science makes a difference in your lives. So if you learn something new, if you got outside after, not really engaging with your community for a while and you helped document a bee or a butterfly that you spotted to contribute to the global scientific enterprise, if that, helped improve your day in some way or helped you engage with the people around you in some way, that always makes me really happy to hear. So please don't hesitate to get in touch and let us know.
Great. All right. Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks, Bob. Talk to you soon.
Is that enough inspiration? Now it's all up to you. Go find the citizen science activity that most inspires you, and maybe you'll find a kindred spirit to join you. For SciStarter, I'm Bob Hirschon. This podcast is brought to you each month by SciStarter, where you will find thousands of citizen science projects, events, and tools. It's all at SciStarter.org. That's SciStarter.org. SciStarter's founder is Darlene Cavalier. And thanks so much to you, the listener and the citizen scientist, for getting involved and making a difference. If you have any ideas you want to share with us and any things you want to hear on this podcast, get in touch with us at info@SciStarter.org. Once again, our email address is info@SciStarter.org. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.